The New York Jets have made a bunch of moves, freeing up a ton of space in the salary cap. Does this mean Aaron Rodgers news this announcement soon?
Inside, and beauty, ball running free, Brees Hall inside the 10, he's gonna score!
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and Joe Douglas decided to make a bunch of moves right when I was out with the family, so I'm a little late to the party, but this is very interesting information, so we're still going to go over it. Joe Douglas has restructured 3 more players, converting salary into bonus to lower their cap hits this year, and ultimately committing to these players for an additional year, right? Restructuring players tends to mean that you're committing to a player for the rest of their contract. It means that you're giving them more guaranteed money towards the end, because if you could just convert everything, like every team would do it with every player all of the time, right? So a lot of people were talking about maybe we might move on from a tight end, or maybe we've restructured both of our tight ends in CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin. There was talks and conversations of maybe you move on from Laken Tomlinson. They've restructured Laken Tomlinson. DJ Reed, no one was ever talking about moving on from DJ Reed, but they restructured DJ Reed's contract as well. The New York Jets, as of right now, according to Over the Cap, have $11.5 million in cap space, and they still have moves that they can make to restructure some other guys to save a ton of money. Now, the big ones that I expect for us to see as restructures, or re-signings or something along those lines, are guys like CJ Mosley. I think we might give CJ Mosley a brand new contract to lower his number and keep him around as a New York Jet. I think that that's a nice move and a nice piece that we can do. Obviously, we know that they reached out to the agents of Jonathan Franklin Myers to try to restructure him. He's another candidate where if we restructure, we can save a ton of money and lower his cap hit. And I don't think JFM is going anywhere. He was one of our best edge rushers last year and definitely deserves a spot on this team. I would like to see maybe a restructure and an added void year on the back end or two for Dwayne Brown. So there's a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of players that we can still finagle with, that we can still mess with to, get the salary cap. But by restructuring CJ Uzomah, we've added 3 void years on the back end of his deal, which means that in 2025, 2026, and 2027, I believe he's going to be in 2025, he's going to be a $2.5 million cap hit, which is really, that's not that big of a deal. That's future Joe Douglas's problem. Tyler Conklin, what we did was added the salary cap number from this year on to next year, essentially, and that's how that restructure worked from what I'm reading and understanding it with Over the Cap. Same thing happened with DJ Reed. Instead of him being, I think it was a $15 million cap hit this year and next year. He's a $9 million cap hit this year, but an $18 million cap hit next year, which is fine because we have a ton of cap space next year. And then the same thing happened with Laken Tomlinson. Instead of being a $17 million cap hit this year and next year, he's an $11 million cap hit this year and a $23 million cap hit next year. And again, we have a ton of space next year, so that it makes a ton of sense for us to do something like this. I expect that this is the first of very many moves that we're going to see. I still expect a CJ Mosley restructure and or a contract extension. I would be surprised if Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh really let Carl Lawson go. We might want to negotiate with him to lower his cap number. That makes a ton of sense in my mind. Carl Lawson at $10 million I am a huge fan of instead of the $15 million. So if we can save $6 million, because he's a $15.8 million cap hit, we can save $6 million, but also keep Carl Lawson. That's a win-win for everybody. My expectation is that Corey Davis is going to be going as a part of the trade to the Green Bay Packers. They were interested in him, and that makes a ton of sense in my mind. So there is a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of things happening with the New York Jets, and I'm hoping that the announcement happens sooner rather than later. Guys, let me know what you think is going to happen with Aaron Rodgers and who else is going to get restructured. Don't forget to leave your sacrifice to the algorithm gods in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.